Hiya, folks. We are live. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Night Live. I'm going to go ahead and let this fella introduce himself. Go ahead, Lyle.
Hey, everybody. How you doing? Thank you so much for inviting me on your show tonight, sir.
Oh, not a problem at all. Making sure we are really live, and we are. Yep, K-Bug Clark's already in here.
What a sweetheart. I think she watches every show that's on, and I have anticipation of her being a big deal in the catfish industry at some point.
I really think so as well. She is a great spokesperson, I would say, for the fishing community as a whole.
Exactly right.
Any kid as passionate as that can really go places, I think.
I agree, and I've said this many times, but young people like that need to be molded to take us old guys places one of these days. Not that you're in that position, but let's face it, I'm getting there, and we need people to step up and fill the shoes of the guys that are getting out at some point, and K-Bug is going to be one of those people.
Definitely. Brooks Pierce, how you doing? I actually had a chance to meet Brooks. I was on a trip to North Carolina this past weekend, and we did a little meet and greet at the Bass Pro Shop, and it was a pleasure meeting you there. Patriot, how you doing? Chris Flores is in here. K-Bug says she's trying her best, and that's all you can do. That's right. How you doing, CatfishBill? So tonight we've got Lyle in here. If you don't know Lyle, he's on the show Catfish Weekly, and they do a tremendous job every week. So all of you out there, all of my bass fishing guys, or my trout fishing people, or my salt fishing people, go ahead and get your beginner catfishing questions ready. Because this guy right here could answer every single one of them. On their show, they do giveaways. What is it, every 15 minutes now?
We're trying to get it to where it's every 15 minutes. Sometimes it's a little hard to do at 15-minute points if we're on a subject that we don't want to stop on and people want to know the answers to. We run over a little bit, but yeah, we're trying to do them every 15 minutes, and then when we hit 150 likes on a show, then we'll do a giveaway then too.
That's fantastic. All right, first question's already in. Johnny, what's your PB catfish? Let's do any catfish. What's your PB?
It's been a while since I caught a really good one. We caught Cindy and I was fishing at night below the Clarksville Dam on the Mississippi River, and I put a 67-pound flathead in the boat. That was a giant. We had a lot of fun with catching that, and then I think I'm trying to think of my personal best blue. It wasn't as big as the flathead, actually. It was I don't remember. I know I caught a 50 or right just below 50 up in a tournament in Canton, Illinois, a few years ago. But I caught one bigger than that. I can't remember where it was at. But the one I'm most proud of, Sarah, is I caught a 29.9 channel cat up in Wisconsin. I don't know, 9 years ago. That was actually a giant channel cat, and it was amazing. That fishery they got in Wisconsin, Mendota and Cherokee Lakes are awesome. We fished up there for 4 days, and we never caught a fish below 10 or 12 pounds, all channel cats. And yeah, it really was. Cindy caught 4 over 20 pounds in 30 minutes, and I mean, that's just amazing.
How did you get into catfishing? This is from Chris Flores.
Mr. Muddy River Catfishing himself. Thanks for watching, Chris. I always fish for catfish. I tried bass tournaments and crappie tournaments, and to tell you the truth, I didn't have any thrill out of that. It just wasn't there. And when I started catfishing, it was right before my dad passed away. I was 15, and every night, basically, that's all he was able to do. And we drive his truck up right next to the pond bank, and he could walk out to the pond, and we'd fish a little bit, and then we'd go back. And that was some of the quality times, the best times I remember spending with him. And then we fished on the river. My brother was a great part of my life, getting me tied up with catfishing on the Mississippi River, and his father-in-law also. And then when we done the first one or two of the catfish tournaments back in the U.S. Cat days, I was hooked. I mean, everything else just kind of went out the door. And, you know, that was a long time ago. I guess we've been fishing catfish tournaments for probably, I don't know, 25 years, something like that. And the catfishing I love.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, to hear those backstories of where people got started from. That's one of the questions I try and always ask anyone that gets on the show, but it's fun to hear everybody's answers.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Fishing with Big D asked is if hot dogs work while catfishing.
I tell you, I used to be in the automotive industry, and I had a tool dealer, Mac tool dealer, and John took Boy Scouts out all the time to the lakes, and he would set these Boy Scouts up in his boat and put jugs out, you know, like 2-liter soda jugs, and put hot dogs on them, and then kids would catch a bunch of small fish, and they'd have a cookout at the end of their stay. So yeah, they work. I don't personally use them, but if I was ever going to get to the point where I just wanted to catch a bunch of eaters, I might give them a try because I know that they work.
Okay. Let's see. The Wyatt Life asked, I like to use white tackle. What are some of the better light catfishing rods that you would suggest? I really like the feel of the fight on a lighter pole.
If I was going to go with the light action stuff, I would first check with Warrior Cat Rods, as I know they have some lighter stuff, and Big Cat Fever guys, Tangle with Catfish, and see what they have for lighter stuff. If I was just going to go to a box store, Bass Pro has a line of power sticks or something that they sell that's pretty good for inexpensive things, but it's really hard to beat. For inexpensive stuff, it's really hard to beat just a inexpensive ugly stick.
Very cool. CatfishBill wants to know, how's your new boat?
My new boat is amazing, Bill. Thank you for asking. I'm so proud of that thing. It's extremely comfortable and smooth to ride. It jumps up on plane. It comes out of the hole faster than any boat I've ever been in, and that's saying a lot, spending 2 years in a Monster Cat with a 300 on it. This thing just, I mean, it eats water as you take off. Like I say, it's extremely comfortable. And if it ever quits pouring down rain here, we're going to get it out and show everybody a little bit of what it'll do.
Are you ever going to have Fudd or Chuck back on the show as a guest?
I would love to have Chuck back on the show. He has an open invitation anytime that he wants to come back on. As far as Chris, I had sent Chris an invitation here a while back to do a like a reunion show and try to get Chuck and Chris and maybe Paul all together and get us all on at one time for a show. And I got zero response back. So, you know, the ball's in their court. But Chuck knows that anytime that he feels like that he wants to be on the show, he can come on the show at any time. And I would love to have Chris and him come back on the show. You know, I think a reunion show after a couple of years without them guys would be really fun.
That would be awesome. All right. Go ahead and Kentucky Catman is actually watching from in the hospital, so I'm sure he would appreciate everyone's thoughts and prayers. He has a collapsed lung. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but he watches the show every single week. And I know he watches Catfish Weekly every single week. He's K-Bug's father. So you guys could keep him in your thoughts. I'm sure he would really appreciate that.
Absolutely. I hope he gets to feeling better. We got to keep him to promote his daughter, to keep her coming up in this world. We got a lot of up and coming young anglers in the sport now. We really, really need to keep these kids interested in this. There's sure a lot worse things they can do besides catfishing.
That's right. Has the bad spawn bite started out in Missouri yet?
It hasn't here yet, but with the water temperature gaining ground like it is, it probably is not going to be long.
Okay. Dirty ore. I think you just answered that. They asked when you're going to get they're going to get a boat tour. I'm guessing when it stops raining.
Yeah, we had planned on taking my grandson and daughter out on the boat today. They was not calling for any rain whatsoever, so we put everything in the boat last night and got it ready to go. And this morning I got up early so we could get out and go catch bait. And we had a huge thunderstorm. We had about 30 minutes in between that and the next one, and they've been going from 30 minutes to an hour off and on all day. So I don't want to take a 12-year-old boy out in the boat and give him a bad experience where he doesn't want to be there again. When he goes out, I want to make sure that he catches fish and has a good time.
Chris wants to know what your top 3 go-to rigs are.
I like a Carolina rig with a Demon Dragon on it, and to be quite honest, I've got something that I'm trying now. If it works out, I will let Scott know and he can present it to everybody. I haven't tried it, but I got a really big feeling for it. I use a rig that most people don't, and I use it a lot. It's a dropper rig, and I put the weight on the bottom, and I snell a hook up about a foot, and then I go up a foot or a foot and a half, and I snell on another hook. And use cut bait on those, and you can use it anchored or use it drifting. If I'm using drifting, I'm not dragging it. I'm putting it straight off to the side of the boat and just enough weight to where it's completely straight down at all times, no matter what the current situation is, and it gives them 2 water column depths to bite at. I really like that rig. And then, like I say, Carolina rig is the other one, and I do a lot of bumping. So when I bump, I use the weight on the bottom, and then a lot of times I'll tie a 3-way swivel up 10 or 15 inches up and use a dropper on that and bump along with those.
Good deal. BD wants to know what produces the biggest cats, in your opinion, rivers, ponds, or lakes?
Absolutely rivers. The Mississippi River and the Missouri River are on fire, have been for the last few years. The Mississippi River below the Alton Dam, there is tons of barge traffic. It's a place that you really have to be careful, but nobody can commercial fish down there. They can't run jugs and lines and stuff like that. So the fish are safe there. Most of the people that fish there are good about putting the breeding fish back so they can reproduce. It's in my opinion, the greatest big fish fishery in the United States. And I don't mean by just a little bit, by heads and tails. And I know guys talk about Wheeler Lake and this and that, it's a great fishery. I'm not trying to take anything away from it. But a couple of summers ago, I know that there was 6 100-pound fish caught in that area. Only one of those was released alive, which is a terrible, terrible thing. But that spot down through there, just above that dam, is where Jason Jackson and Justin Wolf and their partner, I don't remember who it was, a 3-fish limit in a tournament, 230 plus pounds. You're not going to get that anywhere in the United States besides Mississippi River.
Yeah, that's wow.
Yeah,
man.
I'll tell you a story. Before Jason and Justin, and I can't remember the guy's name they fished with, before they caught those 230 pounds on 3 fish, Danny Southland fished a twisted cat tournament when we was running them, and he held the record on 3 fish for years and years and years, was 195.2 pounds. He fished by himself, and he was throwing back 50-pound fish all day long.
Yeah.
And that's just giants.
Yeah.
Just giants. So.
Have you ever fished South Carolina?
No, I've not ever been out there. I'd love to go out there and fish. Seems like every couple of years we get invited out there and something always comes up and we can't make it. But at some point I want to get out there. And when I do, I want to hit Virginia and South Carolina and North Carolina, of course. And then, kind of it'd probably be like a month-long deal once we get going.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know one of my next trips is going to be down to the Santee. I'm going to try and take the kayak out there, hopefully on a much less windy day than they've had here lately, because I've seen some terrible videos of those white caps on the. It's looking pretty rough.
I understand the rollers on that lake get really wild, and we have those here, but it's Santee is a bucket list place for me. The James River is, those places I want to. Another place that I got to get to is the Potomac River. I mean, they got it going on out there and have had for some time.
Someone just asked me, Super Chat is not enabled yet. I just hit 1,000 subscribers this past week, so thank you so much. I'm still working on that. I've got a few more views I'm gonna need, but it'll be enabled very soon. So I'm excited about that. It'll help out a lot with the show and the giveaways and things like that. Speaking of giveaways, before I get to some of these other questions, if you guys are not subscribed to Catfish Weekly, the description is in the description is their channel. Also in the description is their website, and they do giveaways all the time. So I know I won one 2 weeks ago. I won a hat from them. And how often can you win?
Once a month per household is what we try to do. Now, say somebody comes along like they have in the past and donated a rod rack or a live well or something like that. On a big ticket item like that, we're not going to say, well, you won last week, you can't get in, because that's a once in a lifetime opportunity for somebody, and everybody is able to get in those. All they have to do is follow the rules, whether it be like and share or go to their page, and whatever stipulations the donator wants, then that's the way it is.
Dieter wants to know if you could show us one of the bumping rods you make.
I have one right here.
We're in luck.
Yeah. This one doesn't have decals on it yet. And it doesn't have decals, and it doesn't have the cork stuff on it. But let's see if I can get it where you can see it. I'm not sure if that's but the guy's name will be right here. Yeah. And then our decal will be right here, and we're going to marble this in blue and silver and black. And then that's what the guides will look like. They have to have one more coat of finish over those, and then a coat of finish over the, of course, there'll be wraps here and here, but the marbling will be blue, silver, and black, and it'll go over the white part of it. And then this will darken just a little with the cork preserver on it, and then it'll weigh just about 7.5 ounces.
He said it should have Dieter Milhorn fishing on it.
Well, Dieter could say that. Not this one, but another one could say that.
Oh.
I didn't know Dieter done any bumping. I wasn't sure that he knew that he did that.
Oh.
I'm not sure. Sarah, there's a couple of guys in our sport that are involved in videos and live stuff that I don't know how we got along without him. One of them being Dieter. He is so fun to be online with, and the other one would be Luke Pinches. Those guys are a hoot to be around. We was at the Catfish conference, and they actually done a set to which give Doc and I a break. Those two done Catfish Weekly, and they was just a blast. I love them guys so much, and they're so good for our sport. They're just good people.
Seeing Dieter in person for the first time, I was actually hanging out with Tiffany, Country Girl Catfishing, and they were doing a live on y'all's show at the Catfish Conference. And Dieter leaves your live show to jump up and give Tiffany a hug.
That's wild, man.
I thought it was hilarious.
Absolutely.
He was just like, hang on, I got to go say hey to somebody. Hang on.
Dieter, I'm not, dang. Pardon me. I'm not sure what Dieter does with ESPN. I know he does some camera work for him, different things. But, he posted a picture one time where he was doing a basketball game, and on his screen while he was doing this he was watching Doc with Catfish Weekly, and that was a really hoot. I should have saved that picture, because that's probably one of the greatest tributes to Doc and I it's ever been, with him doing that.
That's pretty neat. That would be that would go in a frame. That's
I,
pretty cool.
I need to get a copy of that. I really do. And Dieter, if you're listening, if you can think about it, please send me that because that was just an amazing shot.
Dirty Or Catfishing wants to know where you order a Black Horse custom rod at.
You just send me a message on Facebook, and when I'm not quite so far behind on messages as I am now, I will get to you just as quickly as I can and answer any questions that you have about it.
Jim wants to know if you're going to be at Monsters on the Ohio River this year.
As a matter of fact, I am.
Fantastic.
We go to Monsters on the Ohio every year, and we go to Bass and More, and we do a live show out of there the Thursday before the tournament. And it is one of the most things that you can do by not being in a boat. You know, those people are some of the finest folks in the world. They do a lot to help Aaron make that tournament what it is. And last year we had a cookout, and Brandon and all of them went outside and they cooked hamburgers and hot dogs, and we done a live show for a few hours. And, you know, when we go down there, it's kind of like going to the pyramid at Mississippi River Monsters. We'll do our show for as long as people want to come up and visit with us.
That's pretty neat.
You know, it is because we get guys calling in and donating stuff for us to give away. Last year, Tony Caton donated 6 big cat fever rods to a guy. And different things happen. And George Young, he gave away a bunch of stuff last year down there. But, you know, Jim and Sheila, they donate a lot of stuff. And like I say, they do a lot to help Aaron out, as the whole city of Owensboro does. And Aaron Wheatley's got it going on down there.
Yeah.
He's got the town behind him. And for people that's not been to Mississippi River Monsters and Monsters on the Ohio, even if you don't fish, it would be to your advantage to go down there and see how smoothly and how perfect those things are run. And it's not that they don't have hiccups. They just fix them and do it the right way.
Yeah, he was on your show, what, a couple of weeks ago, I think? Is that right?
George?
Yeah.
I think he was, yeah.
Yeah. And it just sounded like he had a ton of support to run something that huge.
Yep.
That's huge, I think.
It is, and George is great friends with Bill Dance, and I've become pretty good friends with Bill. I will let you know that George does a ton of work on that, but one of the people that really is his mainstay is Leslie, Bill Dance's niece. Leslie does so much behind-the-scene work. Gets very little recognition for the hard work she puts into that, and she's one of the sweetest ladies that you'll ever meet. And you know, she's Bill Dance's niece. Holy crap, Bill Dance, man.
Yeah.
Who in the world don't think that Bill Dance is the greatest fisherman of all times? I mean,
That's right. He's
the man.
Not to jump off topic, but K-Bug wants to know where your favorite place to fish is.
I got to tell you, I have a lot of favorite places. I love fishing Memphis. I like fishing Wheeler Lake. I like fishing Mississippi River. Right now, as of right this instant, my favorite place is Lake Ozark. I never thought I would say that, but it's so close to my house that I can run up there and jump in and catch a bunch of fish whenever I want to. But if you was asking where my favorite place to big fish would be, it would be the Mississippi River.
Very good. Chris wanted to comment, if Dieter ever gets a custom rod, it needs to have a little tassel on the handle.
You're so right about that.
Maybe a what is it, a hook, where you put your hook at, you know? Have a little detachable tassel right there. I think that would be a great idea, Chris.
I do too. That'd be awesome. And my wife Cindy, she wears hats a lot when we're fishing, and she has to have the hat that has the little cutout in the back here.
Yeah.
To stick her ponytail through. And I'm thinking Dieter might have to have one like that too.
Fishing with Big D would like to know, is there a sweet spot when it comes to depth? He's going catfishing this week and wants to increase his chances.
Right now, I think the spot that I would try would be the shallow water. I think that they're, depending on the water temperature, if they're running up to get ready to spawn, they're going to be up feeding, and that's where the bait will be, and that's where they're going to be. If you find bait, you're going to find fish not too far behind them. And with the water temperature getting as warm as rapidly as it is, I would sure check the flats, and I would check shallow water, and any place that you can find bait fish that's popping the top of the water, I would back off into just a little bit deeper water, and I'd fish that first.
Very good. Hopefully that helps you out, Big D. Hopefully you have some fantastic luck this week.
Absolutely.
Team Jesus Outdoors wants to know what bumping is.
Well, I will explain it the best I can. Bumping is when you're in a river or some body of water that has current, and you take your boat and you head it upriver, and you drop a trolling motor and you try to pull up against the current, but you're actually sliding the boat backwards. And what you do is you try to cut the boat speed going backwards to at least half of what the current is, and then you let line out with a weight and bait on it, and you're bouncing it off the bottom. And if you lose the bottom and you can't feel it, you reel up and start all over. And the idea behind this is to get the bait to the fish before any noise of the boat or shadows or anything like that ever gets to it. And a lot of times we're bumping anywhere from 100 to 400 feet behind the boat, depends on situations. I try to use the lightest amount of weight that I can. That's why a real sensitive rod is so important. But you use what you feel comfortable with. If you can't feel the bottom with a 2-ounce weight, then by all means use a 4-ounce, because if you lose the bottom, you don't know where that's floating up behind you if it's not on the bottom. And you can adjust your droppers on for your back bottom bounce of your hooks to where they're anywhere from a foot to 2 or 3 foot off the bottom, depending on where you're finding fish. And that's where a good depth finder comes in handy.
That is awesome. That is a wonderful explanation. I think that anybody can understand that right there. I have to scroll through here, make sure I'm not missing any questions. I'm starting to feel like you guys got lots of comments going through here. And when I announced it, I did a little video earlier on my and I announced that you were going to be on here. I said that I'd be able to answer questions. It wouldn't go by as fast as it does on y'all's. So let's see. All right. Lyle, do you like drifting better than anchoring?
I do. Now, when the water temperature is below 50 degrees, I'm usually anchored or very slowly dragging baits. The reason I like it's because it's a lot more exciting. If you're ever drifting and you're bouncing bait off of the bottom and a 50 or 60 pound blue grabs that bait, they're trying to take it away from you. You're trying to make sure that they don't. We was in Memphis a couple of years ago, and I had built a new bumping rod, and Doc was fishing with us, and he wanted to try the rod, and one actually snatched that baby right out of his hand, and he caught it as it went off of the back of the boat and caught just the butt of the rod. And he went flying back through there. It was quite funny. And when he got back in the boat and things settled down a little bit, he looked at me and he says, "I guess you know you're not getting this rod back." And I said, "Yeah, I know." But it's so exciting. And like I say, when they hit that, they're grabbing that bait and they're trying to run off with it. And you're trying to keep them from taking it away from you. And they've got their mind made up. They're going. And a lot of times on the river, like say at Memphis, we was doing that day that happened, Doc, we was in 7 mile an hour current. Yeah. And we was drifting backwards at probably 3 mile an hour. And it was pretty exciting.
That's awesome. Let's see. No, I'm afraid he did not say that, Jim, but that's a nice try.
It is a nice try. I wish I could. But now, Sarah, if you don't mind me saying so, we're really close to 2,500 subscribers, and I am going to give away a rod when
Okay.
we reach that mark on Catfish Weekly.
Yeah, so everyone in here that is subscribed to me and that is not subscribed to them, they need to check them out. I personally have learned so much from this channel right here. I mean, it's just a phenomenal channel. They do an amazing job. They put in a lot of work. I know that to get those shows out every week. They do it every Monday at 8 o'clock, 7 Central, and it's just a phenomenal show. Who's the guy that you had on there last week? He's done a couple of them. He does seminars. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. What's that?
Ed Ellensbecker?
Yes. You guys could have him on there so often, and I'm telling you, I learn so much every time he's on there. It's crazy.
Ted is he gives a lot of seminars. He's got correct information. Whatever he says, he can back up with statistics and documentation. He goes and does seminars all over the place. He is a great host or guest to be on the show. And the last time when he was on there last week, you know, I told him, and Doc and I talked over, the best thing for him to do is do the seminar like everybody was in the room with him, and then we'd answer questions later. And we just let him take off. And he has so much information. Now, Ted's going to be back on with us. He's working on a new project. And as soon as that's finished, he'll be doing another show with us. And to be quite honest, Sarah, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and I know I've got a lot of people on here that are not strictly cat fishermen. And he has an amazing video on structure fishing that can relate to any type of fishing you guys are doing. It is just amazing. And he breaks it down into just micro sections of what you need to look for, where you should be throwing, anything you want to know about structure fishing. He has it, and it's just awesome.
I agree. You know, there's a lot of guys that do seminars, and I've done them off and on for years and years, but I've never seen anybody that does them like Ted does.
Yeah, it's I know every time that he's on y'all's show, the chat just slows down. You can tell everybody's listening.
But that's correct.
Everybody's zoned in at that point, just trying to soak up as much information as possible.
You know, like the E.F. Hutton of catfishing.
Yeah, he really is. Let's see. A couple of people in here are saying that was an awesome show. He's been on there a couple of times, and he's actually got, I believe it's videos you can buy on Amazon. But he did the structure fishing video, or not video, but he was on your show and talked about structure. If you guys want to go check out, once again, their YouTube channel and look for him. He did an awesome job on their live feed that Monday.
Yeah, it's really quality information, and he explains it to where you can understand it if you're a seasoned veteran fisherman or if you're a beginner. He makes it to where you can understand it. And myself personally, I've watched both shows numerous times, and it seems like every time I rewatch it, I pick up something I missed the times before.
Yeah, definitely. So I actually had this question as well. I don't think anyone has an answer for it yet. I reached out to Steve and to see if he could answer it, but I just did that today, so I haven't gotten a response quite yet. They want to know, when are the videos of the seminars from earlier this year going to be put out from the Catfish Conference?
I have not heard. I know that they're supposed to put them out, and I also know that Steve has been really, really busy.
Yes.
He has his new building, and I know he's been jonesing to get out fishing, and I see that he has been out fishing, so I anticipate that him or Hervé or somebody will be getting those out in the near future, because with us doing shows at the conference the way we do it and have people come in and we take a break and then we come right back into it, I have yet to see a seminar at any of the conference seminars. I'm always doing shows. Even when Doc done a seminar last year, I didn't even get to watch Doc. I was doing videos with guys
Yeah.
while Doc was doing the seminar. So I'm anxious to see him. I really am. And one of the better ones that I remember was Carl Morris. He done a bang up job.
Yeah. Let's see. Is there any news? I'm pretty sure I know this answer about where it's going to be for next year.
I have not heard.
Okay.
I know that they're tight on space where they're at, but
Yes.
that is very central located. You know, one of the things that people forget about is the United States is a big area, and closer to centralizing the middle of it would make a fair amount of travel for everyone, but it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
It really is. And a lot of people thinks that every tournament should be on Wheeler Lake. Well, there's guys like Eddie and Ann White that live up north that it's hard for them to make tournaments down there. And man, those are some fine folks to be in the sport of catfishing.
Yeah.
So centralize things and spread them out in the mid-United States, you know, anywhere from wherever, Memphis area up, even into Iowa, Illinois, Kansas. You know, it make it easier for a lot of guys to make, but then again, you can't have them all there either. There got to be some. I would like to see some of the big stuff out in your area. I would like to see some. It's not going to be past, say, Kansas area for a long time because there's not enough people out there that's in the sport. It's not that they're not there. There's just not numbers like there is in the central and east and the south. That's where the majority of the cat guys are. So that's the reason they're there. St. Louis is a great place. Kansas City would be an outstanding place. But then again, those guys are located in that area. So for them, I would have to think it would be somewhere near there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure Chris Flores could tell us how far it is to go because he flies in every year. And we're so glad that he makes these events, man.
Yeah. I drove 8 hours this year to get to the one in Kentucky. I've heard rumor of Tennessee. I've heard rumor of having 2. Who knows?
I hear those things too. And at this point, to my knowledge, that's what they are, rumors. Now, it's hard to say what's going to take place between now and then. The only thing that I can say proof positive is that we need to never let this go away. That is one of the greatest events that you can attend that you never put a hook in the water.
Yeah. As long as it's not too far away next year, I'm going to be teaming up with someone that's got a booth there and trying to do something more kid-oriented. And so we're going to have some fun stuff going on. Well, once we find out the location, I'll put a more definite on all of that. So
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I'll have my youngin with me, so it'll be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really hard when you get to a place that has as many people as the conference has and get to see everybody. I know we didn't see everybody, and then we have obligations. We've spent some time with the offshore tackle booth.
Yeah.
You know, we're obligated to do that. I wanted to get over and, you know, I got to see Chris. Chris is walking through there, and we holler at Chris, hey, can you got a second to do a shot with us? And we made it over to his booth, and how you doing? Good looking rod, all this. Then, you know, we're gone. We're off to the next thing. It's really hard to do. To see everybody. We would like to have everyone that has a booth down there come by and do a segment in the show with us.
That would be great.
You know, it was really hard to get the Big Cat Fever guys and John Adams. Them guys was so busy. Man, they was just covered up. It was so hard to get them in there because they couldn't take time out from customers, and I 100% got that.
Yeah, you would almost have to do it after 5 o'clock when everything kind of slowed down.
Other than being full figured and needing to eat, I'd be 100% on board with that.
Well, you know, at 5, that's when we went and ate also, was at 5, but I know it slowed down then.
Yeah, we had a blast with the guys from Tangle with Catfish. I know Jerry and his brother Joe and Mark Farrell and all those guys. I fish against them a lot in our area. They're great fishermen. They're some of the most wonderful guys you ever want to spend time with. And Jerry's dad, Jerry Senior, is absolutely a hoot. He's one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, and I get to see all them guys and spend a day or two with them. And they give away a bunch of stuff the last 2 years, as a lot of other guys did. And that conference, man, it's whatever they got to do to keep it going from now on. They just got to do.
Yeah. A couple of people, K&B said that they're glad that there's a place where they can go and meet all of you guys that have kind of influenced them, such as all of us, Chris Flores, Dieter, and all the others. It's a great place to be. It really is.
It really is. And I am so humbled at the amount of people that'll come up and want to shake hands with us or take pictures or something. And you know, I'm just Lyle. I'm not anything special. I don't do anything that Sarah can't do or anybody that watches this show. I just been doing it a long time. Our goal is to help as many people catch more fish than as many as we can. You know, as you know, doing these shows, there's no money in it.
Yeah.
And then what little bit we do, we give away.
Yeah.
So it's not about money. It's about helping to grow the sport. And you know, Paul Ragsdale was one of the guys that helped originally start Catfish Weekly. He's one of my favorite success stories of all times. He used to catch and talk about catching frying fish. And I explained to him one day about how important it was to make sure we save the breeding size fish. And he never looked at it that way.
Yeah.
And he's a big CPR guy now. He's a great ambassador for the sport. And if you get one or two guys like that in your lifetime, that you get through to them where they understand life is good.
Yeah. Just that one little breakthrough. And it spreads from there. I mean, it's just like a smile. A smile spreads. That one person that breaks through can spread. So,
I agree 100%.
We've got a viewer in here every week. His kids watch as well, and they want to know what every guest's favorite cartoon is.
My favorite cartoon?
Yep.
I would have to say the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote.
There you go. He's got kids that watch as well. So there you go, Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote.
I watched those when I was a kid. I would like to see more of that kind of stuff on TV for children to watch now versus some of the stuff that I see my grandkids watch. That was true entertainment to me. I really think that the children these days are missing a great opportunity to see some of the stuff that we seen when we grew up.
That is awesome. All right. Johnny Button wants to know if you ever come to South Carolina, he would love to go fishing with you.
Johnny, if I make it out there, there'll be a post made that I'm coming, and anybody that wants to meet us or go fishing will be happy to do that. I've got a number of people that I would like to fish with when I make that trip out there, and we would love to go to some of the big tournaments out there. It just seems like we make our schedule out at the end of one year for the entire next year, and there's always something that we've always already got set up on the days that the tournaments out that way are set up for.
All right, K-Bug, I'm going to stop on your question and get right back to it. I'm going to do the catch of the week. So bear with me for 1 second. I do a little voiceover here, Lyle, so
Alrighty.
Here we go. Catch of the week coming at you. If you don't know what catch of the week is, you guys send in your pictures, whether it be you, your neighbor, your kids, your grandkids, I don't care who it is. I feature you in the Sunday Night Live, and then I feature you again every Wednesday. This is probably my favorite part of the week, guys, getting these pictures in all week long, especially the kids. They get their own little section at the end of the video. If I keep getting more and more kids in, they'll get their separate video. It's kind of like the future of fishing, the next generation. We want to keep it going. So here it is, catch of the week. Catch of the week. There's no fish too small, no wrong species. I just want to see you getting out there and catching some fish. First up in the chat, we got Fishing with Big D on YouTube. Teaching the next generation, like I just said, that's what it's all about, guys. Looks like they are having an awesome time out on the water. And we've got Musky Hans on a homemade spinner. It's got to be a good feeling knowing what you made caught a fish. TomyTek Outdoors. Look at that cat. Blue cat caught on the Potomac River. We've got the Wyatt Life. Channel cat on his lunch break. I wish I had a water close to me enough to go and do that. BadgerFarmGirl on YouTube. Brown trout, 24 inches, 7 pounds, caught on Lake Michigan. Wow, guys, look at that. That is insane. We've got on YouTube BigFish catching this 34-inch striper. All of these YouTube channels are in the description below if you want to check them out as well if they're not in the chat. Team Jesus Outdoors catching this walleye. Caught on the river. He was actually out fishing today as well. He sent me a little picture of him out on the river. And we've got CatfishBill. He's in the chat catching his first flathead on the Ohio River. And we've got Life of the Fly Fisherman, also known as the Fly Fishing Ninja. Look at that slab, new PB bluegill. That's a big fish there, guys. Whew. This is my favorite part, the future. We've got from the fishing hobby, this is his son catching a channel cat from the kayak. That's awesome. Then we've got on YouTube Sportsman 101. This is Andrea catching her very first fish. And then here's another fish they caught that day. Gorgeous fish. Congrats, Andrea. And we've got Ryder from the Wyatt Life. Look at that smile, catching slabs. That's what I like to see right there, guys. Make sure you're showing everybody some love in the comments. We've got Little B. This is Big D's kid showing us how it's done. That is awesome. Alright, and that is it. Like I said, that is definitely my favorite part of the week. Especially getting all the pictures of all the kids with the grandkids, whatever you're sending in, I love it.
Sarah, I don't always get to watch your show live, but I do try to go back and watch them every week, because you have, you know, when you have Dieter and Luke and guys like that on there, some of my favorite, and even the other people, and if I see it, I want to see that part of the show more than anything else, and I had talked to you about doing that also. But I wanted approval. I didn't want to take your idea. Right now, I just don't have the time to do it. But I love that part of your show probably more than anything else.
Yeah, it's, you know, about every day now I'm getting a picture or two in. More when I actually post the video or something like that. But those that remember about every day I'm getting at least one picture in. And it's probably my favorite part of the day when I get those pictures, especially when it's of kids fishing or someone catching their first fish. It just puts a smile on my face.
Absolutely, it does. And like I say, that's the future of not only our sport, but every sport.
Yeah, definitely. All right, I'm going to get to K-Bug's question real quick. She had a pretty big one. Let me see if I can find it. I scrolled too far down. Hang on. Basically, she wanted to know your favorite rods, hooks, and bait.
My favorite rods, hooks, and bait. Well, since K-Bug, since I build Black Horse rods, I would have to say that they are my favorite. The thing about that I enjoy doing more than anything is developing new rods, whether it be bait rods for catching crappie and bluegill and things like that we're going to use, or whether it's designing the bumping rods that we have had such great success with. My favorite reels are Abu Garcia 6500 line counters. I've used the big ones, little ones, everything in between. I have a collection of reels. Some people have seen some of them, and some of them never see the water. So I like fishing reels. You know, it's just a hobby thing. But that's our main thing is 6500 Abu Garcias, and I really like the line counters for drifting and back bottom bouncing. Hooks. I've been using a lot of James Arwood stuff. Hooker's Terminal Tackle, extremely sharp, good product. We've been getting along really great with those. What else did she want to bait? In cold water and on the lake, I like to use shad. If we are on the big rivers, I like to use skipjack. And as long as the water's 50 or over, if the water's below 50 degrees, I like to use shad there too. But if the water's warm, and another thing that I use a lot of because I get so mad at them for getting my boat is Asian carp. And I just sign them off and use like the tenderloin out of them.
Yeah.
And they make great bait. They have become, in the big river systems, they have become a mainstay for food. And there's a lot of studies been done about the amount of protein they produce for the rapid growth of our catfish. So they're used to having them. They're used to eating them. And why not use them?
That's right. Johnny asks, what's your favorite fish to catch?
My favorite fish to catch is flathead catfish. I fish mainly for blues because in our area, most of the time, that's what's going to win you tournaments is blues. And I dearly love channel cat tournaments. They're the most fun that you can have because weigh-ins are close. You usually catch a lot of fish, and I like to catch a lot of fish no matter what size they are. But if I had to fish for just one fish, it would be flathead catfish.
Lena wants to know, have you designed any rods for kids?
I have some. Yes, I have some that are short, different actions for different type stuff. I've actually made some for people with disabilities that had like lanyards on them so they wouldn't get jerked out of their hands. Some of them want trigger wheels, some of them don't. And I have built some really small ones for guys that was really tiny. The problem with doing that is they outgrow them so fast, and then they need another one, and then that just sits in the corner, and that's okay. But to be quite honest, when you're spending $150, $60 for a rod or $200, whatever the case may be, it depends on how fancy they want them. You want it to where they can use it from now on.
Yeah. I'll ask this question from Deidre, and then I'll ask you a couple of questions about this subject.
Okay.
What is your favorite boat food? When you're out on the boat, what's your favorite food? What's the go-to must-have?
Smoke-flavored Vienna sausages.
Whew.
No question.
What boat? You got a new boat. What's the boat?
I have a new 205 Trophy Alumacraft. It is a dream of a boat. They let us order it just like we wanted it, and it's outstanding. We've only got about 7 or 8 hours on it. I've had some really nice boats in the past. This one jumps up out of the water faster than anything I've ever been around. I've ever been in. It's not the fastest boat that I've ever had. It's the smoothest riding, safest boat. There's so much insulation in there, or insulation stuff to keep it from sinking. Foam in this boat, I don't believe you could sink it. I like that. I will never own another boat that's not set up to where it's safe in case you tear a hole in it, that you're going to make it to bank. At my age, it doesn't make sense to do that. There's boats out there that has no way to protect you from sinking if you rip a hole in them. And at 60 years old, I don't want in those anymore. But this is an extremely nice boat, and we're really excited to be in this Alumacraft. It's just really well made.
That's awesome. Do you have one of those custom built live wells for it?
We're in the process of doing one now. I've contacted a couple guys waiting to get prices back, and it will be designed to where it can be taken in and out, but once it hits there, as much tournaments and stuff as we go to, it'll probably never be removed.
Yeah. How many tournaments a year do y'all usually fish?
That's a good question. This year we're a little bit behind because we was waiting on our boat to get here. It was supposed to have been done in October last year, and we got it 2 weeks ago, something like that. So they had a discrepancy on getting the motor in, and we was picked up by Yamaha. We had to wait for the motor. The boat was ordered with that specific motor on it, so we was a little bit behind getting rolling on this one. But we'll make probably 15 or 16 this year. A couple of years ago, we fished 8 different states, and I forgot the number, but it was too many. If you know what I mean. You know, we was doing them nearly every weekend and having to drive distances to go to them. And it gets to be too much. So now we're concentrating more on the big ones and the ones that we have the most fun at, believe it or not. We have so much fun going to tournaments and visiting with Doc and Lynn and the people that show up at Mississippi River Monsters. Janet and Bink are usually there, and there's just a bunch of people that we see once or twice, maybe 3 times a year. And a lot of times I'll be outside at motels visiting with people, and we'll be talking about fishing. We'll be lying about the size they are. We might have a drink or 2 out there. And sometimes Cindy has to come out and get me, says, you got to go fishing tomorrow, get your butt to bed,
Yeah.
But I enjoy that part of it as much as I do fishing. And I hope that the guys that we spend time with doing that have as much fun doing it as I do, because it is a blast. And we'll go out to dinner with a group, or we'll cook out at wherever we're staying, whatever it takes. And we just enjoy being around everybody. The fact that they enjoy being around us makes it that much better. And I could not do any of this without Cindy being there. It's just impossible to go and do the things I do without her. She not only keeps me in line, she's the greatest fishing partner that I've ever had. And she does keep me in line. She tells me, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't say that. And she's always right. She tries to keep me from making mistakes. And it's not that I haven't made them in the past, but she'll come out here and say, man, what did you do that for? You know better.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just don't do better.
That cartoon of her on the website is just awesome. I love it.
It's top. Yeah, me too.
It's great. Let's see. Someone asked, if while fishing, do you have a bait hand and a food hand?
Funny story about that, Sarah.
Oh,
I have a deal worked with Cindy to where she doesn't touch any bait. I'll bait her hook and cut the bait and make sure that whatever she needs on that end of our fishing is done, and she'll keep clean hands and fix me sandwiches and snacks and whatever we got to eat. And that way I don't eat shad scales or dipjack innards or something, Yeah. So it really works out, and I don't mind cutting the bait.
Well, that's fantastic. You've got a system worked out.
Yeah, and it's not that she can't do it, but if she keeps her hands clean, that means that I'm not getting all that other stuff that I don't want.
Yeah. K&B had a question. They've got a tournament coming up in 3 weeks, and this is their first one. Are there any tips you could give them? They'll be fishing on a lake.
On a lake, and it'll be their first tournament?
Yeah.
If you have a trolling motor, I would be dragging baits on a lake with some kind of structure, snake, or device to keep you from getting hung up. I would have a demon dragon within 6 inches of my hook, and I would try different size baits from small to large baits, depending on the type fish in it. Blue cats are not afraid of big hooks, and they're not afraid of big baits. In fact, they prefer big baits most of the time, and I would be trying to catch the biggest fish in the lake. If you're fishing a tournament that has channel cat in it, and the biggest channel cat in that area is 8 pounds, those are the fish I'm going to target. If the biggest fish in there is a 60-pound blue, then I'm going to be using a skipjack that big. You've got to go after the size fish that's going to win you a tournament. One thing that I recommend to guys starting out in tournaments is go out and catch the limit. If you're in a 3-limit fish tournament, go out and catch 3 fish and then upgrade. If you're in a 5-limit tournament, go out and catch you 5 fish and upgrade. And once you get to be an experienced angler, then you can say, well, I'm going to win it or I'm going to blow it out, one of the two, and then you just go after the giants. But that's for people that's been doing it for a really long time. And the reason I say catch your limit first, because it keeps you interested. If you know you've caught your limit, that's half the battle.
Yeah.
For guys starting out, and always try to get your limit and upgrade as somebody starting out. That's the best advice I can give you.
They also asked what depths would you?
It depends on where you're at in water.
In Georgia.
In Georgia, if the fish haven't spawned down there, I would be looking, first off, I would be looking shallow flats.
Yeah.
Anywhere from 2 to 20 foot, because if the bait's up there, them blues and flatheads are not going to be far behind.
Weekend Angler asks, have you ever fished Kentucky or Barkley Dam tailwaters?
Both.
There you go.
Yep, fished them both. Like it down there. It's a great place. I know there's some tournaments that they're going to be getting. Man, I got a fly in here. It's just aggravating crap out of me. There's going to be some tournaments coming up down there. I hope that we can get to them and get them lined out to be able to fish them, because that's a great area. It's also a good area to go down and catch skipjack if you're going to be needing bait.
Oh, Lord, James.
No. When I was a kid, I had really long hair, and I had an incident at work, and I got it tangled up in a creeper underneath a car. And I stood up. Them old creepers weighed about 30 pounds in those days, and I stood up, and it was all tangled up in that hair. And after that, I didn't have long hair ever again. So no, I'm not going to do that. But I did wear a wig on one of the shows, so I kind of simulated Dieter a year or so ago.
Yeah, if any of you guys want a very special Dieter Melhorn hair tie, I've got those. You know, just go ahead and pre-order them. 5 easy payments of $9.99, and we can make that work for you. I think he got a kick out of me doing that little funny video I did.
That's hilarious. You guys, if you're on a tournament in that lake, if you don't have some demon dragons, I would highly recommend that you get a hold of Scott Manning and get you some. It's evident they work. Too many people are catching fish on them. We catch a lot of fish on them. Any advantage that you can get over somebody else in that tournament, or if they're using it catching fish and you're not, you're going to wish you had them. So order up a few of them and give them a try.
Let's see. All right, we're going to stay on for about 10 to 15 more minutes, guys. So go ahead and send in your final questions. For you guys that are new in here, this is Lyle from Catfish Weekly. They do some amazing live shows every Monday, and from what I heard earlier, you guys are going to start doing more shows. Is that correct?
We have some projects in the works for this year. Like I say, again, we've been waiting on our boat to get here. We've got a bunch of filming to do. We've got to do promotional videos for one of the outdoor channels. I don't know if we're good enough to be accepted to do that. We're going to put it up and see if they contacted me. I didn't go after them, so they think we can do it. Whether we can do it or not, make it happen remains to be seen. And we have an idea of what we want to do, and what we want to do is different than anybody else is doing. And it will be to where we can give quality information to people who want to catch fish.
How does a demon dragon work? Basically, a demon dragon, if you fish for bass, is basically a spook. It doesn't have any hooks on it. It's got rattles on the inside of it. It's painted to look amazing. I don't have any right beside me. I normally keep some right here, but I'm about to ship some out. Do you have any near you, Lyle?
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. They're all actually.
But it's basically just an attractant with the rattles on the inside, and you tie it, and you put a leader basically on it with your bait on the end. You like to keep yours about 6 inches from the hook, correct?
Anywhere from 0 to 6 inches. Now, some of the guys are running further back than that, but one of the greatest things about using demon dragons is they suspend the bait up off the bottom so well. I used foam floats to do that for years and years, and they work, but we would go through a whole bunch of them. You know, those fish actually will hit that demon dragon. Yeah. When they do, they hit them with so much force that those foam floats will tear, and pretty soon they're gone, and you replace them all the time. I have yet to destroy one of them demon dragons. They last. If you don't lose it, it'll last, I believe, forever. Now, you may lose some of the paint off one, I don't know, but they suspend bait better than anything I've ever used.
I will say, in my opinion, they're a bit on the pricier side. And some of the other stuff you could work with, but they look like an amazing. I guess it would be a lure, but it's basically just a rattle as an attractant. You can, like CatfishBill right there said, you can check out his videos. He's got some amazing stuff, and he explains different ways you can hook them up, because there's several different ways. I've got a little video from the Catfish Conference, if you want to check it out, where they actually sat down and showed me how they would recommend rigging it up. All right.
I'm a firm believer, Sarah, in the fact that if you're fishing lakes and stuff, fish can see things better than they can in the river systems that I fish, being the Mississippi and the Missouri River are really muddy all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that the movement that they get going through the water puts off a vibration, and let's face it, in 7-mile-an-hour current, there's so much noise. I don't know how much of that they hear, but they can feel that vibration. So with those dragons, you got vibration, you got color. If the water's clear, something flash, something to attract them that way. You have the noise of the rattle, and you have the vibration. For me, it's kind of a no-brainer.
If that doesn't work, what will?
You know, that and quality bait. That's the number one thing. The best, freshest quality bait that you can get for catching fish is what you have to have.
Yeah. All right. Last questions, guys, before I wrap this up. Deidre wants to know boxers or briefs while you're fishing. Leave it to him.
Buff, man.
Don't be surprised if he says neither. There we go. Color varies based on watercolor. I'm thinking yeah.
I would agree.
Do you have a favorite color in your demon dragons?
I really don't. I like them all. Cindy likes the pink one, of course, and she's not really a pink person. If they ever come out with a purple one, I'd have to get an inventory of them.
Yeah.
She loves her purple.
Not sure.
But like I say, the color, I haven't noticed a difference on colors. I know Dieter has done some extensive testing on them, and I watch a lot of his stuff and read or listen to what he has to say about that. And he uses several different ones. and I'll have to go back and see Bill's stuff because I don't get to see all of it, but I would be interested in seeing what CatfishBill has on those, so I can watch some of those and see if what he's finding out matches what I find out, or whether it matches what Dieter does. Some of that stuff I think has to do with different areas, different type of water that people fish.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll go back and look at his stuff and make sure I catch some of that.
Elson, they do seem to work off the bank as well as in boats.
Yep.
So yes.
Going back to the gentleman with that's going to be fishing his first tournament, if you're going to be dragging baits, I would assume that's what you'll do if you're on a lake. If you have access to some planer boards, I love my planer boards.
Let's see. Last questions, guys, and I am wrapping this up.
Hey, baby.
All right, so one more time, Lyle, folks from Catfish Weekly. If you don't know about their channel, they have some fantastic content out there. Anything you could possibly ever want to know about catfishing, you can find it over there. That, along with the fact that they do giveaways every week, and like he said earlier, he's not making any money off of this, and what little bit they are making is going right into those giveaways. Shipping can be expensive, can't it, Lyle?
It can be. It can.
And so yeah, make sure you're checking out their website, Catfish Weekly. Is it Catfish Weekly TV or is it just catfishweekly.com?
Just catfishweekly.com.
Yep, it's in the description below.
That's our new website, and for the live shows, you can watch Catfish Weekly on YouTube and pull it up and go to the live event just like you do Sarah's. And I got to tell you, Sarah, thank you so much for inviting me to be on your show. I really enjoyed it.
I had a blast.
It's been a great time, and I'd like to get you on our show one of these days when we get settled down. I got to tell you, that tournament that I done here a while back, I'm so glad to get past that. Now I can get things sort of back to normal. It's been a week now, and I'm still answering questions and things like that. But
it would be fun to get several YouTubers on there. And,
yeah, it would be. And it's different sitting back on this side of it than being on the other side. And I really have had a great time.
Yeah, it's that's what I told a couple of people the other day, that I was like, it's going to be different for them having to get questions answered from him instead of him asking the questions.
It is, but it's a blast, and just so everybody knows, anytime that you guys have questions, Doc, myself, Cindy, any of us will always be happy to answer any questions if we can. If we don't know the answers, we'll do our best to find them for you. And if you're at one of the tournaments or events we're at, please come up and say hello. We enjoy that so much, and it's so humbling to know that so many people follow us online and stuff. And we want to make sure that we stay in touch with as many people as we can, because the fun factor is way up there for an old guy like me that enjoys doing what we do so much.
I'm going to be reaching out to Doc as well, and hopefully I can get him in on the next month or two. And I think that would be a lot of fun getting him on here. And
absolutely.
Because I know he has a ton of knowledge to just throw at everybody.
For people that don't remember Doc from 20 years ago, and I told you this before the show, Doc has a website called shoot, I can't even think of the name of it now.
Fish On.
Well, that's terrible. But anyhow, that's been the holy grail of catfishing for years. Chuck and I used to talk about it. It's Hooked on Catfish.
Hooked On, yeah.
Catfishing. And if you needed to know about making a live well for your boat, or if you was having problems with this or that, the answers was always on Doc's website. And a few years ago, Doc was one of the top guys in the nation at catching fish. And it's not that he's still not, but he got away from tournaments for a little bit. and now he's getting ready to retire. He's starting to get back into them real hot and heavy. Look for big things to come from Mr. Lang. When the doctor speaks, people listen.
Yeah. And that is it, folks. So thank you so much, Lyle. I appreciate it more than you could possibly know. I have had so much fun tonight. I'm going to have a giveaway on my channel sometime this week since I hit the 1,000 subscriber mark. I'll release some information on that. And then make sure you're checking out Catfish Weekly tomorrow night, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. And who are you going to have on your show this week?
Trevor Niederhoff and Josh Brown. It's going to be a great show, Sarah.
That's awesome. All right. I'm going to be signing off. Thank you guys so much. I'll catch you later.